Hello kitty queens and kitty beauty teas. Here we are again, y'all. Another day, another slay. I'm back with another client tutorial. As y'all can see, I'm going to be creating this bomb sunset glitter cut crease type of look, and we're jumping straight into the tutorial. I'm starting it off by cleaning my model's face. Once that's finished, I'm just going to proceed to doing her eyebrows, and to fill them in, I'm using my Nicka K eyebrow pencil, and it's in the shade dark brown. Now that I have this side outlined, I'm going to go ahead and outline the other side. When I'm filling in eyebrows, I like to outline both the brows first just to get them as even as possible. Then once I feel like I have them to my liking, I start filling them in at the back and working my way to the front. And for the back of her brows, I'm sticking to the same shade eyebrow pencil, but once I've made my way to the front, I'm going to switch to a lighter shade just to have more of an ombre effect. Now that I'm finished with filling in the back of her brows, I'm taking my Nicka K eyebrow pencil in the shade light brown, and I'm using it to fill in the front. To clean up her eyebrows, I'm taking my LA Girl Pro Concealer along with my Nicka K Concealer. First, I'm going in with the Nicka K Concealer, which was in the shade number 5, and I'm using it to clean up under her arch. Once I've created a crisp line underneath her arch, I'm just going to drag that concealer down and proceed to clean up the rest of her eyebrows. To clean up the remaining areas, I'm going to be using my LA Girl Pro Concealer, and it was in the color Suede. Before I move on to cleaning up the top, I'm going to take my buffing brush and use it to buff these two concealers out. Now I'm going back in with the shade Suede, and I'm using it to clean up the top of her brows. Yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I did her brows so good. Like, they look so neat. I can see the texture, I can see everything, and they were perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna just let y'all watch me slay these brows real quick. So the brows have been completely filled in and cleaned up. So now I'm just going ahead and buffing out the concealer around her brows. Y'all cannot tell me that these brows are anything other than perfect. Like, look at them, okay? They're sisters and they're twins, okay? Period. Before I move on to eyeshadow, I'm going to take my Dermablend translucent powder and I'm using it to set the concealer around her brows, and I'm also going to tap a little bit inside of her eyebrow just to make sure they're set in place as well. For an eyeshadow base, I went in with my Bperfect eyeshadow primer and I already applied it all over her lids. Now I'm taking that same buffing brush that I used to buff out her eyebrows and I'm just buffing out the product. I'm going to make sure I tap this all over her lids, y'all. Whenever I'm doing a dramatic look, I like to make sure I cover them as evenly as possible just so everything can be pigmented. For her eyeshadow, I'm going in with my Juvias Saharan II palette and I'm using the shade Taza, which is like this nice matte terracotta shade, and I'm packing it on the outer edge of her eye first. Then as I build my color up, I'm just going to move in toward the front of her eyebrows. This is serving as my transition color. Now that I have this color built up, I'm going in with the shade Fizz, which is like this rich brown, and I'm going to start by packing it on the outer edge of her eye. I took a denser brush to apply this color just because I wanted it to be a little bit more pigmented, since this is the Crease color. And once I have it built on, I'm going back in with that blending brush that I used to apply the first shade, and I'm just using it to blend out the edges. So this is what the blend is looking like. We only needed 2 colors. Now I'm about to cut her crease, and to cut her crease I'm using my e.l.f. matte concealer, and this in the shade Fair Rose. I'm taking this on a small flat synthetic brush, and I'm just making sure I take my time with this step, y'all, because as much as I love cutting creases, this is still one of the hardest eyeshadow shapes to do, and this is the most tedious part, so just make sure you take your time. Once I have the shape to my liking, I'm just going to go ahead and fill it in with that concealer. And once it's all the way filled in, I'm going to go over it with my buffing brush and just buff out the excess concealer. I've told y'all in previous tutorials that this concealer dries very, very fast. So once you have the shape that you like, you need to go ahead and blend it out, because once it dries, it stays in place and you will not be able to move it. Okay? So yeah, just make sure you keep that in mind. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side. The first eyeshadow shade I'm going to be applying to her lids is this yellow shade, and it came from my Lick and Lash Spice palette. You can find them on Instagram, but I'm going to try to include a link in the description box for anybody that's interested, because this yellow was so vibrant, y'all. This is like the best yellow that I've ever used, because if you use yellow eyeshadows, you know they're a little hard to deal with. But now I'm going in with this peach shade, and I'm working it right behind the first shade that we use. It's also from my Lick and Lash Spice palette, and to apply these two colors, I'm using an e.l.f. eyeshadow brush. I'm going back in with the color Fez from my Juvias Saharan II palette, and I'm using it to help me close my cut crease. Before I have the cut crease fully closed, I'm going in with this bright orange shade from my Lick and Lash Spice palette, and I'm using it as my final transition shade. I'm taking these two fine glitters from Roh Cosmetics, and I'm going to be applying this to her cut crease. I went ahead and applied the adhesive, so now I'm just starting with the yellow glitter, and I'm pressing it where we put the yellow eyeshadow, of course, and I'm going to take a little bit of that glitter and drag it onto the peach eyeshadow shade that we used. It's just something about applying glitters on matte eyeshadows that just always makes it come out popping. But anyway, now I'm going in with that orange glitter, and I'm just applying it to the back of her cut crease. I had to take a pause just so y'all can see this glitter. Okay, the glitter is glistening. Now I'm taking my Wet n Wild black liquid liner, and I'm just gonna do a thin wing across her eye. I had to do the other side off camera because y'all know it was giving me a little bit of trouble. But now I'm taking the yellow chunky glitter from this glitter stack. Y'all, this was sent to me a long time ago, so I don't remember who, but I will try to have it in the description box. But I'm taking that chunky glitter and I'm just applying it to the center of her cut crease just to give it a little bit more texture, okay, a little bit more shine, just a little bit. And once I have that completed, we're going to be moving on to the face. So I went ahead and cleaned and moisturized her face off camera, and y'all just get into the skin, okay? She has some beautiful skin, but I'm gonna go ahead and prime her face using my calamine lotion. So I applied it to all the areas of her face that typically get oily the quickest, so the T-zone. Now I'm taking my Real Technique sponge and I'm just using it to press this product into her skin. For her foundation, I'm going in with my Fit Me foundation in the shade 356, and this is the only shade I went in with for this tutorial. I know y'all are used to seeing me mix two together, but this was actually her perfect shade. So if you find the perfect shade, you will not have to mix two shades together. So I'm clearly painting this on her face right now, and now I'm taking my foundation brush and I'm just using it to buff this product out. To highlight her face, I'm using my Nicka K concealer, and it's in the shade number 4. I'm going back in with my foundation brush and I'm going to use it to buff out the concealer. I'm going to make sure I take whatever excess concealer is left on my brush and I'm going to use it to clean up the edge of her wing. I'm going to let the concealer sit under her eyes for a little longer, and I'm just going to go ahead and contour her face. So to contour her, I'm using my Juvias Place foundation stick, and it's in the shade Katsina, and I'm pressing this foundation stick in place using that same foundation brush. Now that I'm finished contouring her face, I'm just going to go ahead and blend out that concealer, and to blend it out, I'm using a damp Real Technique sponge. To set the highlighted areas of her face, I'm using my Fit Me pressed powder, and it's in the shade Pure Beige. Before I set the other areas of her face, I went in with my Dermablend translucent powder under her eyes just to make sure all the concealer was set, and I think I cut that clip out, but y'all can kind of see the translucent powder still resting on her face. And now I'm just going ahead and I'm using that Fit Me to set all the other highlighted areas of her face. To set the contoured areas of her face, I'm using my Black Radiance pressed powder, and it's in the shade Black Coffee. Now I'm taking my Fit Me pressed powder in the shade Mocha, and I'm using it to set all the other areas of her face. Time to do these under eyes, child. So I decided to keep it simple, and I'm just lining half of her waterline using some black gel liner, and I'm taking it on a Q-tip just because it's easier to apply. I also used some eyeshadow under there, but it was so light that y'all could barely tell that it was there, so I just decided to cut that clip out. Now I'm taking some lashes. These are like some medium blinks, and I'm just applying them to her eyes. I went ahead and cut them to fit her eye off camera. I'm taking a pigment from Roh Cosmetics. It's in the color Silver Milky Way, and I'm just applying it to her tear ducts. I'm taking a champagne colored eyeshadow from my Fantasy palette, and I'm going to be using it to highlight the tip and the bridge of her nose, and I also applied it to her face. For her lips, I'm doing a nude ombre lip. What else is new? Okay, I do this for almost every client, but I'm still gonna tell y'all what I do. So I'm lining her lips using my LA Colors dark brown eyebrow pencil. Since I'm doing an ombre lip, I'm gonna outline her lips first and then go back in and fill in the corners. Now that I have them nicely outlined, I decided to take a brush, y'all. This is like the eyeshadow applicator that they give in cheap palettes. It's this thing that we normally throw in the trash. I took a little bit of lip gloss on this applicator, and I used it to blend out the liner a little bit, and y'all, this was like perfect. It makes me regret throwing away all those other applicators. I'm just gonna order me like a handful of them because This made blending her lipstick out so easy. But once I have the liner blended, I'm going to take this brush and work the lip gloss into the center of her lips. And then I'm going to take whatever excess lip gloss is left on the brush and I'm just going to apply it directly on top of the liner. And just like that, y'all, the lips were done. Like, look at that. The perfect little blend. Now I'm taking some makeup remover and I'm just cleaning off her piercing. And now we're getting into the grand reveal. So I'm just going to let y'all watch. Okay, you ready to see?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cute.
Yes, girl, you're gonna have to go outside.
Most definitely. This is cute.
Alrighty, queens, this is the end of this video. As y'all can see by her reaction, this tutorial was another success, and these are some clips that I took on my phone. I really love this look. I hope you all loved it as well, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, y'all need to subscribe because I post client content every week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram as well. A link will be in the description box down below. Bye bye, queens.